BDR Life, episode number 1. Hello and welcome to this episode of the BDR Life. My name is Peter Nakamura.
I'm Mark Gaudet.
And this is the podcast dedicated to achieving your best performance as a business development representative at Salesforce.com. Our goal is to help you destroy your monthly quota, drive sustainable high performance, and become the best BDR you can be.
Now, on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the importance of having the right vision and mindset at the start, middle, and end of your tenure so you can exceed your quota and management's expectations.
Great. So let's get into this. This is really exciting. This is our first episode. To give everybody a little bit of context, we're going to have for every episode just a theme to talk about, and then within that some points that you can start applying to your daily lives as a BDR.
Excellent. Well, let's kick it off.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so, what's 4 things that we really wanted to talk about today was does your why make you cry? We're going to get into each one of these topics in a little bit, but the second thing we're going to talk about is your 4 pillars of high performance, right? And Peter's going to go a little bit more into that, talk a little about exercise, movement, recovery and rest, mindset and nutrition as those 4 pillars. And then really knowing your strengths and focusing on your strengths. And Peter, I think we had one more there. What was it?
Just the action plan, right? What do we want to actually take out of it, and the framework on what the next steps look like. So, yeah, like Mark was saying, I think when you're starting your tenure here, you really want to get those 3 points down. That vision, that why are you doing this job? Number 2 is that how do you create sustainable high performance day in, day out? Of course, number 3, the strengths and how you're going to really apply those. So, Mark, is it all right if I jump into the first point?
Yeah.
You can add any thoughts that you might have?
Absolutely. Let's kick it off.
All right. So, Mark mentioned the idea of what does your why make you cry? And this idea of the why actually comes from a book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And it's basically the idea that if you really want to have something that you are going to strive for, if you're pitching a product or service that people will be really connected to, start with the why. Why would somebody buy this product? Maybe it will be a laptop that will allow them to connect with other people around the world, or write the book that they wanted to write for their entire life. That emotional connection is so important because that sets it apart from the functionalities of that laptop or that product or whatever. It's the same thing with your job. You want to be able to connect to the deeper why. Why are you doing it? How do you want to make this job a stepping stone into that goal that you have in the future? And not only that specific goal, but is that goal so motivational, so exciting that it makes you cry? I think that is going to be giving you the energy, the fuel every single day, every single week to go out there and achieve high performance in your role. For me personally, my goal is coming into this role, I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to be able to say I was able to do prospecting for 12, 13, 14 months, however long the tenure is as a BDR, and put myself into a position to become an account executive. That was it. That was my goal. Put myself into position. And that meant a lot of things. You have to be a high performer if you want to be in position to become an account executive. You have to find a way to achieve high performance every week, every day. You have to become a team leader in the BDR community. You also have to learn different skills on trying to open or break open doors in certain cases to get into accounts. So that all was encompassed in this idea of putting myself into the position of becoming an account executive, and that really motivated me at the start. But I know there are different things that motivate you, Mark. So how did you make your why cry?
And so, Peter and I, for everyone who doesn't know us, listen to this podcast, we have sort of different ways that we approach goals. And if you listen to Peter, what's very important to Peter, it sounds like he has more of an emphasis on the journey of reaching the goals. And I'm kind of an impact person. When I came into this role, I felt, hey, the most important thing, I want to do this job so that ultimately I can get to an account executive position and become get sales experience so that I'm able to take this information and apply it with building my brand online and potentially starting another business down the road. But what really makes me, if you want to use the term, makes me, what's the why that makes me almost want to cry? It comes down to me. It's the level of impact that I'm able to have every single day I come in. I look at the role that I'm in. How do I connect where I want to be from what I'm doing now? How do I make that connection with what I'm doing every day? Because we're on the phones every day. We're making telephone calls to people. Most of these are cold accounts, prospect accounts. We've never talked to these people before, and we're doing this every day. And we see a metrics and a dashboard where we got to hit 30 calls a day, hit so much pipeline per month, and have so many activities per day. But what does that all mean? Where's that emotional connection? What's driving us every day? That's not necessarily driving us. That's just a commitment that we have to make. But what's driving us to hit those metrics? Making you feel good about what you're doing each and every day and allowing you to get the most out of yourself. And for me, it's every single morning. It's taking a look and visualizing, even if it's for 5 minutes, about what impact I'm going to have today when I go in. What impact am I going to have on my AEs' lives today when I go in and source an opportunity? What impact am I going to have on my team's performance when they see me leading the dashboards? And how's that going to inspire them to perform better and seek out help where they could get help or where they think they need it, and be a leader? For me, being that in the position where people will look to me and say, hey, you know what, I like what Mark's doing. I want to get coaching from him. I want to get help from him. Just being in that role and letting yourself have that impact, that motivates me. I feel the emotion every day when I come into work because it's very real, it's very tangible. And just having that impact, I support all of New York right now. And that's a huge opportunity for me. I have 9 AEs, and I'm like, man, if I can come in and be the best BDR that these guys have ever had, not only are they all going to vouch for me when time comes for promotion, but that'll build my brand, that'll build my self-esteem and my confidence, and will roll me in to successfully hitting the ground running as an account executive, making sure that I become the best salesperson that I can be. So really what motivates me is that impact, becoming the best I can be, and connecting with that every day. So while we're on the topic of goals, Peter, people set goals and we don't look at them till another 6 months or to the next year. We set these New Year's resolutions type of goals. I think where the change comes, and what Peter and I want to make known, is that, hey, we do this every day. To really set a goal for you to be successful, you've got to look at them, you've got to review it, you either got to be writing it every day and doing something actionable towards that. Peter, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And something that I do at the start of every day is just write 3 points, top goals that I have, and they're all kind of metrics based. So it's like I hit 30 calls today, or I increase my pipeline by 50K, and I'm talking about like the forecasted pipeline. I don't usually put in I want to pipe 50K into my actual pipeline, if that makes sense, because you never know what happens in a discovery call. But at least what you can control is what you put into your opportunity stage. So I want to find a good looking account, put another 50K into it, and then I might do something a little bit more intangible, like helping my team out with setting up a new volunteer event or something like that. There's so many different opportunities here, but some additional goal to round out the 3 goals that you set every day. I think goal setting, like you said, is so important. And if you do it on a daily basis and you can kind of review it every single day and make it a consistent habit, that will help you a lot to keep you aligned to your bigger picture.
Love it. Well, why don't we roll into the next topic here that we wanted to discuss, Peter?
Yeah, so number 2, when you're starting up your career as a BDR, you wanna think about sustainable high performance. And what does that mean? What does high performance look like? Because we often talk about it, but sometimes maybe we don't know what it actually looks like. So high performance actually comes in 4 different pillars, and I actually learned this from a executive training guru who I took a course from about a year ago. His name's Scott Pelton from the Tignum Group, and he used to train like Secret Service agents or SWAT team members, stuff like that. So like not only executives but people who needed high performance on a daily basis. And he was saying there's 4 pillars. Number 1, there's the need for movement. So the idea of getting exercise on a daily basis, or as often as you can, so that you can create that energy within yourself. Exercise doesn't just allow your body to do what it needs to do, but it also allows your mind to work clearer because your blood's flowing, your energy is there, and it's just humans are meant to move. So if you don't move, hey, you're missing out on a big part of it. Next, you talk about nutrition. So making sure you get the good, right foods in your system, not the crappy processed foods, because with the right foods, your mind's going to work the right way, and when you're on that phone call, when a tough objection comes, your mind is there and you're clear rather than foggy because of the food that you ate. Number 3, mindset. You can do the best that you can with nutrition and movement, but if your mindset is poor, you're always thinking negative. You think, oh, I'm not going to hit quota this month, or oh man, it's so tiring to make that last call today. If your mindset's poor, then it's going to make everything else a lot difficult. And given our role, we just need to have a positive mindset, because oftentimes our role does encounter a lot of resistance or objections, at least, and we need to be able to think positively and optimistically about it. And the last piece is recovery, and this is probably one of the tougher pieces to do, because sleep. Hey, who wants to sleep? If you're a BDR, you're probably a young professional, getting started your career. Sleep is for the weak, but it's actually not. If you want to achieve high performance, you want to make sure that you are thinking about how do you recover your body, get the sleep that you need, so that next day you're feeling refreshed and ready to go. Because just like building a muscle, your mind is the same thing. It needs the recovery to get stronger for the next day. So 4 pillars of high performance. Getting those pieces together, one without the other is not going to work. You have to piece them together to really achieve the next level. So just starting to think about, how are you going to get better in those 4 areas of life is crucial, especially early on in your tenure.
I like that, and I think the very important part that I take away from that, Peter, the 4 pillars here, is that these 4 pillars act as action steps to actually apply and help achieve those goals that we just talked about setting in the first part of this program. I mean, to be putting mindset, nutrition, recovery, exercise, and movement all together in your daily plan or in your schedule are basically going to be, these components are 4 areas of your life. It's just breaking it down in a way that makes you put focus to these different areas of your life and give it structure. And then you're able to put action steps within each of these that are really going to help you achieve your goals. Because at the end of the day, for us to achieve any of the goals that we set, we need to feel good, right? That's going to come with nutrition. That's going to come with exercise, right? It's not just going to come by writing the goal down and thinking about it. We have to do the action steps towards it. Taking a look at recovery and rest and mindset, reading, listening to things that are in line with what you want to accomplish, feeding your mind the right things. I mean, we have 24 hours in a day, and we spend them doing so many different activities. So the really important thing, the thing I like about these 4 pillars, is that it pretty much breaks down how our daily life is into these 4 segments. And then we can choose consciously what we want to put in each one of these areas to get the most out of ourselves and really take the actionable steps in these different areas to help us reach our goals, whatever those goals may be.
Yeah, sure. And let me throw out some actionable things that you can do right now to get your mindset and your other pillars ready to go. Starting with mindset, if you're having some challenges, just perhaps having some self-doubt, or you're having challenges with having your positive thoughts take over more of the negative. So you typically want a 3-to-1 ratio of positive thoughts over negative, because that's the threshold. Because just in general, you're still going to be negative if your ratio is like you think two good thoughts, and then compared to 1 thought, you actually want it to be a lot higher. So at least start thinking about positive thoughts more often than negative. And a good kind of way to do this is putting some paper clips in your pocket and start off the day with 10 on one side, and with every negative thought or disempowering thought that you have, you put one paper clip to the other side. And when you run out of it, you kind of do a check to yourself, thinking, okay, how long did it take? You check the time of the day, and you think, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit better. I'm going to fill my cup, fill my mind with more positive thoughts, so these paper clips actually don't move over to the other side as quickly as it did today. And then you build on that. You improve on it every day. That's like a simple trick that you can start using, and maybe even you want to start writing down some of the disempowering thoughts that you have, because you want to get over this. You want to make sure that you're building that confidence to be that best version of yourself you can be. For recovery, so just a quick tip. I love coffee. I have my espresso in the morning. I usually have a double shot. That gets me going. It's something that I've always enjoyed in my life. I have one right here right now. But if you want to get some good sleep, caffeine is the biggest deterrent from it. And caffeine has this half-life of 6 hours, so even if you drink a cup of coffee at 3 o'clock, half of that caffeine is still going to be there at 9 o'clock. So, I usually have my last cup of coffee or espresso by around like 2 o'clock latest in the day, so that when I do get to sleep, it's a restful, sound sleep rather than a caffeinated sleep. And that also goes for Coke and anything else that might have some caffeine in there. So if you want to get some better recovery, do that for a start. Nutrition, a quick tip is making sure you kind of, I know you're talking about this, but kind of taking a look at what you're eating in a day. I know there's a ton of apps out there to keep track of your nutrition, and trying to focus on putting some good, healthy fruits and veggies in your body rather than some of the processed stuff that are available. And even that simple switch from an apple from a candy bar can really make a big difference, because that's real wholesome food and not processed stuff. And oftentimes you just go through like an insulin spike, and then you crash for the rest of the day, and it's not good. And then the last piece, just with movement. Yeah, movement. So, Mark, you and I we enjoy exercising, and I think it's an important part of our lives. Getting up early to go to the gym, or making some time at the end of the day to hit the gym, even if it's for like half an hour. So important. It's something else that you can do is just climb stairs. I've started actually doing, to get to the washroom, instead of going to the washroom on the floor, on my floor I go up 2 floors to the 6th floor to use the washroom there. And at least I'm getting some exercise going up the stairs, and it's just an extra step count that I can put in for my day. Small things like that can make a big difference. And so, yeah, just like a few tips, and that's probably just scratching the surface of many other different things that you can do. But keep it really simple at the start, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You might want to just focus on one pillar to start with and then move on from there. But, start simple.
I love those points, and I think those are great places where people could start, just from listening to this first session here. But why don't we go into this third topic here, knowing your strengths. Peter, you and I talked a little bit about this book you had read, and I think it's called Strength Finder 2.0. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, and talk a little bit to this the know your strength topic here?
Yeah, I think this is really important, especially as BDR, because BDRs come in all shapes and sizes, right? And everybody has a different way of doing their processes, doing their prospecting and working. And, no top performer is the same kind of person. They all have their unique strengths. And generally, I think for you to be really enjoying your work, you want to capitalize on your strengths. That's when you feel engaged. That's when you're feeling like you're actually making the most of your talents. And the StrengthsFinder 2.0 book was awesome, because it helped you kind of figure out where are my strengths. And we all have different strengths. So you might be, for example, really good at organizing things. Then devote your energy to becoming the guru on time management. right? On processes, on creating reports to create your structure so that every day when you're ready to go, you have everything down. Like if that's your strength of organizing things, then use that. If you're that type of person that's really good at getting people to open up and starting up a conversation, then use that strength to maybe within an account, within a company, try to get people to make referrals. Create a framework on how you can actually connect the dots within a company so that you can make it to the right decision maker or somebody who has some influence in that company. And then from there, there's your disco, and then you can recreate it for other companies. If you're really good at if you're really good at researching, build your business acumen in an industry. Get to know it. Become the expert in that specific industry, and try out some talk tracks that speak to people within it, and then replicate it to other companies. There's so many different ways that you can use your strengths, but it really has to start with understanding what you're talented at, where you excel at, and then applying them to the right places in your role. That doesn't mean forget your weaknesses, because more often than not, your strengths will carry your career, but your weaknesses may slow you down. And you have to recognize the areas that might be slowing you down so you can find the right people who are excelling in those areas to either support you or maybe mentor you, or you just listen into some of their calls to find out how are simple ways that you can overcome that weakness and not let it be a hindrance to you. But if you don't know your strengths, you're missing out on a big part of who you are and how you can excel. And that, if you can start figuring that out now, that's a huge advantage in early on in your career here.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point, Peter. Just being able to really identify those strengths, and then, like you said, you hit it right on the nail at the end, and I was going to recap that, but you hit it perfect. Not to necessarily neglect your weaknesses, right? Your main focus is going to go into your strengths. I mean, you look at the people that are the best at doing anything, they're doing what they love. They're doing what they're really good at. If you're an entrepreneur and you're good at running businesses, you run businesses. You don't spend most of your time learning how to use Excel spreadsheets and log things. You have other people do that.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you would never learn how to do a skill like that, but definitely it's not going to be the main focus of your time and your emphasis, unless that's your goal. So great points here. And you know what? We're getting close to being able to wrap this up now. But what I think would give the listeners the most value right now is, okay, we've talked about these three sort of themes, and now we want to give people some action steps that they can do. So prior to our next podcast, we are in a position where people are ready to take that next step. So let's start with some action steps that we think you could take away from this that would really help not only transform your position and role as a BDR, but really help you move forward in other areas of your life as well. So let's start with that. So first off, Peter, let's start with how goal setting. What's one exercise that any listener could do right now to just get on the right track right now? We hear a lot about goal setting. People hear about SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Some people say write them down. Some people say think about them and look at them for three months later, see how you're doing. What's something tangible that the listeners could do right now that you think that they could implement and get results from as soon as possible?
Yeah, that's great. And first thing I would start with is just visualize that goal that you want. Like, why did you come to Salesforce.com? Why did you become a BDR? Think about the reason why, and does that why make you cry, right? And really hone it down into maybe one or two sentences. Write it down. And Mark and I are going to provide a framework for this with just a one-pager so you can write it down. But write it down in one or two sentences. Think about it. Does it really get you motivated? Not just now, but 6 months from now, 12 months from now. Is this something that you will be passionate for that period of time? And that's step number one for goal writing. And some of the words might need to be fine-tuned. You might need to find the right emotions that get evoked from it, but you want to kind of spend some time figuring out the right words, visualize it, and get that sense of this is a passionate goal that I have. And it all comes in different sizes too, right? Like it can be the journey for me, or it can be the impact for you, or it could be something completely different for you personally. Secondly, it's going along with the action plan, writing down the 4 pillars. So we talked about mindset, nutrition, recovery, and movement. So writing down one quick goal for each of the 4 pillars. It could be the examples that I gave a little bit earlier, or it could be something really custom to you. But writing down one thing that you will do for the next 21 days, let's say. At 21 days you're committed to doing, it could be something very, very, very small, but you're committed to doing within each of the 4 pillars. And then number 3, strength, is oftentimes, we're told what we're good at, but we often kind of blow it off for thinking about what we're weak at. So write down the strengths that you have right now, your top 5 strengths. And I would highly recommend going out to get StrengthsFinder 2.0. I think it's like $30 at bookstores, and the assessment takes about half an hour to do. It's very, very insightful, very, very customized to you too. And we're not being paid by StrengthsFinder at all. We're just doing this because we're excited about sharing this. But just do that test quickly and get a sense of your strengths, so that you can start honing in on those areas that might match up with the BDR role, so you can start applying those strengths immediately.
Peter, great points to get started here. And the other thing I wanted to say is, this first podcast, this first conversation that Peter and I are having, it's first for a reason. And it's first because we think, from our experience and from studying successful people, that this is the most important piece when you're starting your career, or when you decide to do anything that needs to be done. You need to know why you're doing it, you need to have that vision, and you need to have that emotional connection that's going to pull you through when things don't go perfect. And you need to have an action plan. You need to know what you're going to do, so we need to know that why, which is going to drive us. We need the action steps that are going to get us there. And then we need to be focusing on the things that are going to get us the best results, our strengths. And then we can put all the pieces to the puzzle together. We'll have many other podcasts where we're going to have guests in here, and we'll be speaking about different processes that people that are high performers at Salesforce use as a BDR, and how to get the most pipeline, how to have the best relationships with your AEs. All of that will come. But first I think we really have to start here, because when you're building a house, it's always the foundation, right? It's always the foundation that takes the longest time to build. But if you don't build on a strong foundation, that house is coming down. Well, that's the same thing. If we don't build on a strong foundation here, we're not going to have that strength to carry us through to reach that end goal. And so this is why this has been placed as the first sort of podcast to everyone here. I hope everyone can implement some of these strategies that Peter and I have talked about, and for our next call, still be working with these things and ready to help form that foundation, so that, hey, by the end of this year, by the end of your tenure, you're exactly where you want to be. You feel confident, you're getting the results you want, and you can see your career taking off. So without further ado, thanks for listening. This is Mark Gaudette,
Peter Nakamura, and the BDR Life. Thanks for listening.